A lot of times in the stock market, people have the wrong timeline, and it ends up putting them in the wrong lifeline of where they actually want to be. With the right timeline, you can be on the right lifeline, meaning exactly where you want to be. For example, like I want you to think of the World Cup. One of the players messes up and they hit the ball left of the goal. Now millions and millions of people are now saying, this person, they got anger, they got sadness, and their hatred towards that player is going straight to the player, but the player might not even feel it. That's just part of the game. The original observer in the stadium has become a player just by being a victim of the disaster. And it really couldn't be otherwise. The person allows information related to the disaster to become a part of their life. And they unwittingly accept the fate of victim, and they eventually materialize misfortune on an alternate lifeline that they didn't really want to be on. But because they're part of the game, they had no intention of being a victim, but that's just the consequence. Because once a person has agreed to join the game, the role that they play is chosen by the game. So here's the thing. The fans are just watching the game. They're not actually in the game. And I'm going to get to the red that we're seeing right now, some of the psychology that you're seeing in the markets in just a moment. But just realizing that the fans are just watching the game. They're not actually in the game. So think about it. If the fan also knew at the same time that the disaster happened in the game, that by the end of the game, their team was going to win, they wouldn't be upset. They wouldn't really care because they know that it's going to be all right. But for example, maybe someone bet a lot of money on the first half of the game, and even though the team won, which is what they wanted to happen, they still didn't make money. So this is exactly what happens with stocks. You see, people invest in stocks and they expect that the game is something that they control or that they're truly a part of, but they have no influence. They have no influence on actually changing the price of these stocks. And being in a position where you're falling victim to the emotions of pullbacks in the market puts you in an alternate lifeline, which probably creates panic, which oftentimes leads to selling in companies that might be good. There's a million stories of people in 2008 selling Apple stock or selling Microsoft or Google when that was the best time to probably buy. And it's not your fault if that is something you've done. And it's not uncommon in the stock market. It's a consequence of people having timelines that aren't aligned with where they actually want to be. And then they end up moving to a timeline, not having money, panic selling, eroding their capital to where they don't actually make the money they want to make. And so this is kind of just in a short roundabout way of saying all these pullbacks that you see in the market, whether it's the data center markets, maybe it's the semiconductor markets, these are all very normal and they're all part of the game. In fact, if you were to look at many of the trends that we see over the years, you can just see, this is very, very natural for a lot of these companies that have pulled back to the 200-day moving average here, which is oftentimes going to act as a support and even an uptrending pattern. Not sideways, not downtrending. If you look at Broadcom, for example, you have these big dips where, there was times back in the day when Broadcom would maybe sell down about 45% in a day there, but then recover and recover and recover. Even back here in 2020, it was extremely, panicking for a lot of people, and it sold down 55% before going from $15 to now being at $495 a share and then pulling down again. So this is all part of the game. It's all part of what happens throughout time. And a lot of people get really panicked and they end up moving to a lifeline that they don't actually want to be on, all because they think that the game is something they can control and they have emotions in the game, and it ends up biting them. And so what I want to challenge you to do, especially with some of these sell-offs, is to realize the psychology that is put in front of you. If you saw all the numbers in gray numbers, not red, but gray, not green, but gray, the charts were these rubber bands that every time you see it sell down, there's also a rubber band that ends up shooting it back up. Then you'd have a different perspective. You'd probably just keep buying when things go down. You'd buy more. And if you're buying at levels that are kind of high, like a lot of people have been up near all-time highs for many stocks, you're going to probably have risk management if you know what you're doing. Or if you don't know what you're doing, that's okay, because if you're going to have success, you're most likely learning consistently and you're interested in what it takes to, for example, enter medium to short-term trades, which do require that risk management. But other than that, you might be just seeing red and panicking, and then green, you get excited, when most of the best investors in the world, including Warren Buffett, says buy when there's blood in the streets. The red is exciting. We were just talking about it in our daily live trading this morning. We see red in the market and we're saying, okay, this is where we can actually get some opportunities coming in. And the same thing is true with the green. A lot of people get really excited when they see the market up and everything's going amazing. We oftentimes are pretty not greedy. We are the opposite. We are fearful. We are looking to not take advantage of the top move when it's already at the very, very tippy top. But you're conditioned in so many ways to take action. We were talking about this quote this morning from Sharon Srivatsa. He says a pattern that he's noticed, and this is a gentleman that sold businesses at billions of dollars. Successful people finish boring things. Average people start exciting things. Finishing what you start is a superpower disguised as discipline. And so what I mean is, it's true. Have you ever heard, like, successful people do the boring things, like Olympians do the boring things? You know, it's not exciting. Your energy might be drained when you see these downtrends in the market, but that's oftentimes where you're actually going to find the best opportunities. And we talked about this a little bit deeper in this video that I did a while back on the channel. And honestly, when everything was at an all-time high, I made this video where I basically said, hey guys, I'm kind of going to sell all of my medium-term positions. This was the video. And essentially, all the positions, whether it was AMD, SOXL that was up 820%, OSS for 340%, we sold out because that was just about 2 weeks ago. And the markets were at all-time highs. We're starting to see some breaks in pattern. And so there was this really good thing that I saw that, you know, if you were to look on YouTube right now and you were to go, you know, stream or go look for someone on YouTube and you search stocks, let's say, a lot of the content that you're seeing is designed wrong. You know, people say things like all in, buy every share you can. You know, things like it's a once in a lifetime opportunity, retire rich with this stock. And the problem is that when you have these moments, and I like this one here by InvestQ, he says speculation versus reality. Those are good things to watch. InvestQ is a good one. He's only at 580 subs, but he's doing well. Is that the problem is that the algorithm actually rewards videos that do better with these buy every share you can. These are the next stocks to 10x and, you know, retire rich. Those are the algorithm stocks. You have to find that there are people that aren't just getting millions of views on videos because it's what the algorithm wants. What is the algorithm built on? It's built on 95% of people. So you kind of have to curate your algorithm as somebody that consumes financial information to not actually worry about, you know, is this person, oh, just because they have hundreds of thousands of views. And we've had videos that has hundreds of thousands of views. I did a video, and you know what type of video it actually was? It was a video on how the top stocks in the SpaceX IPO were going to explode. And I don't make videos like that very often, but I did. And this was the video I made. It was right here. And this video went on to get, I don't know, it must have gotten over 500,000 views. Let's see, 666,000 views from people. Why is that? Well, I just talked about Rocket Lab. I was talking about Redwire. I was talking about LUNR, these space stocks that were going to ride up. And this was way before the SpaceX IPO. And I was saying if the SpaceX IPO happens, then these stocks are probably going to do well. And there's times where, you know, you're going to see us, you know, talk about stocks and things like that. If you ever want to follow the Instagram, go ahead, have a look over there. But ultimately, it's not about that. And you just got to be careful. It's good for that, but it's more important to learn how to properly psychologically build your mind for investing and for, if you're going to be in the stock market, realizing what things are kind of designed and that 95% of people do, and that if you want to have success, you've got to react like not the 95%, but the 5%. So another example would be a player, and I love the World Cup. I'm excited about it. But imagine the person that doesn't go crazy. It's like the guy that has the moment where the kid falls off the horse and breaks his arm. And shortly after, everybody in the town, in the village says, "Oh my gosh, that's so terrible." And then the guy says, "Oh, well, maybe it's bad, maybe." And then the next day, the kid was hurting, and a bunch of sheep got eaten by coyotes or ran off, and everybody said, maybe it's or that's terrible, and he said maybe it's bad. And then then you have the kingdom coming, and these royalty people come in, and they say, "Hey, we're doing a draft. We need to take everybody for the war," and they're taking everybody from the war, and then the kid doesn't have to go because he has a broken arm and he's kind of crippled, and basically they say, "Oh, we're not going to take the kid," and then everybody in the town says, "Oh my gosh, isn't that amazing?" And he says, "Maybe." It's like you never know what the implications are. Most people see red as very bad. That's 95% of people. But a lot of the time, that's when you get the best opportunities. And this is where we start to see things really start to shape up for what could be some entries. And also just seeing the market stay healthy, not going straight up, is also very good as well. And so these are some of the things we go over in depth as well in our live trading session. If you ever want to tune on into our daily live trading in Market Open right at 6:30 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, have a look at the second link in the description below to tune on in to Stockmate. We also send you a free t-shirt when you join and get lifetime access to our daily live trading sessions. Again, it's the second link below. If I earned your thumbs up, hit the like button. Do consider subscribing, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care.